I made a stenography keyboard and I made too many mistakes. Before I tell you all about the keyboard, let me explain why stenography is so much different than normal typing. Stenography is a practice of writing in shorthand. This is a faster way of writing or typing and is used in courtrooms, live broadcasts, or government proceedings. In stenography, you write sounds and not individual letters. Each keystroke in a normal keyboard produces one letter by pressing one key. With stenography, you press multiple keys at once to capture whole sounds, syllables, or even entire words in a single stroke. The live subtitles you get on your sport event are most likely done by a stenographer. A practiced stenographer could type over 200 words a minute, with the current world record being held by Mark Kislingbury at 370 words per minute, with 95.4% accuracy. That's insane. So yeah, this is a very niche hobby. But if you look at my other videos, I'm already too deep into custom keyboards, so I'm not one to judge odd hobbies. I currently type around 100 words a minute on a good day with my split keyboard in a Dvorak layout. This is not super impressive, and I want to be better and faster. That is why I'm curious about stenography. Where do you get started with stenography? Let's have a look at what's on the market. Looking through websites like StenoWorks, you can see that the price for one of these professional machines can go upwards to a couple grand. That's not the kind of money I want to spend on a new hobby. This is not an option. Luckily, there are other projects where you can dabble with stenography, with your normal everyday keyboard. The project I'll be using is called Plover. Plover is a slick Python application that runs in the background to turn your keyboard inputs into emulated keystrokes as if it was a stenography keyboard. You press multiple keys on your keyboard and Plover maps these with your dictionary to a word, and outputs the emulated keystrokes representing the word. As an example, on your QWERTY keyboard you press S, C and P together. This maps to the K, A and T keys on a stenography machine. And in your dictionary, this K, A and T maps to the word cat. Then Plover emulates 3 keystrokes for the letter C, A and T. Then I installed Plover and used the Leapwing Theory to get my first experience. The Leapwing Theory is a kind of dictionary or set of rules. It helps make things easier to remember because basically you're memorizing an entire dictionary. A very good source to start learning stenography with Plover and Leapwing Theory is the website lapwing.aeric.ca. It explains what stenography is and how to set everything up before giving you bite-sized lessons to practice. Because you often have to press multiple keys at the same time in different rows, the column stagger of the keyboard made this not a great experience. The keyboard I'm using daily is a split 36-key keyboard. This sadly won't work because I'm missing some pinky keys on the right-hand side, which are required for stenography. So what's my solution? I built my own. I designed a PCB specifically for this purpose. It's a split board with 3 thumb keys and 2 rows of 6 keys each, giving me a total of 30 switches. I do prefer split keyboards as they are ergonomic and give you a more neutral position for your arms and shoulders when you type. 30 switches is more than enough to use with Plover. I made the board reversible, so I don't have to order both a left and a right side. The board is designed to work for both MX and Chalk hot swap sockets. I used the MMD Princess Pink silent switches because they are the switches with the lightest actuation force I had laying around. This is important. When you have to press multiple keys at once, strong springs do get tiring. And finally, I'm using a big replaceable 14250 battery, so I never run out of juice. If you're curious about the process of designing and soldering the boards, I have more detailed explanations in my other videos. I did make a good amount of mistakes. First of all, adding the Chalk hot swap sockets was a mistake. I don't use these kind of switches, so why did I even add them in the first place? They just cluttered the board and gave me less space for the PCB art. Secondly, I designed this board with a matrix in mind. All my previous boards were done with matrices, so I didn't even think twice about it. For your understanding, a matrix gate scan in the firmware uses the pins in a matrix. Some pins are connected to rows and some pins are connected to columns. When a key press connects a row and a column, the keyboard knows exactly where the key is located. For a matrix keyboard, you do need diodes, so you control the flow of electricity. This is an extra component. My board only has 15 keys, and my microcontroller has 21 usable pins. So I could have made this board, and all of my other boards, into direct wired boards. In direct boards, each switch has a dedicated pin on the microcontroller. This will make soldering easier, as I don't have to mess with diodes, and it would give me more space for PCB art. And finally, the ortholinear layout is a bit cramped and doesn't feel nice to use. I'm used to column stagger, where the keys are shifted slightly vertically to account for the different length in fingers. This feels more natural to me. From our mistakes we learn the most. I'm already working on improvements. I have designed a direct pin board with 42 switches. It's a split board again, with 3 thumb keys and 3 rows of 6 keys either side. This gives me enough keys to use it for stenography, but still lets me use direct pin wiring. I did remove the chalk hot swap sockets and replace them with through-hole MX sockets. For the time being, I can already practice with the keyboard I have, to learn more about stenography, Plover and Leapwing by using those bite-sized lessons. And next steps are writing custom firmware for the 42-key keyboard. Drop me a like if you enjoyed this kind of content, and subscribe for more. I make videos about CMK firmware and the keyboards that I design. If you want to learn more about CMK, or are just interested in keyboards, you're in the right place. For any questions, you can always drop a comment or chat with me live on my stream over at Twitch. Hope to see you there. I do prefer a split keyboard as they are more